Come on, don't be shy.
Stand up there, guys. We're here for you guys.
Bring your signs and come join us up here. Everybody wants to stand. Bring signs. Good afternoon, families together. Welcome to Family Empowerment Day. I see a lot of empowered families out here. Families and young people. So
Hi, how are you?
here.
Good. I think they said you can stand up there with the,
Can I
yeah.
ask a favor?
Yeah.
Can I get a photo for me?
Yep.
Thank you.
So somebody's,
And to tell you what we're doing here in Albany to address our issues. So again, thank you. I know there are people from all over the state. People from Buffalo. People from Rochester. People from Central New York, Syracuse. People from the Albany area. From the lower Hudson River. And from Long Island. And last but not least, New York City. Oh my gosh, what a great event. We have people that got on buses at 5 o'clock this morning to be here, to have your voices heard. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the thing that the legislators hear from me and from Brad and from Karen all the time, but they need to hear from you and to see your faces so they can understand who we're talking about when we say nothing about us without us. That is us. These are us. So I wanted to first welcome Senator Brooke, who is from the Rochester area. Senator Brooke is the chair of the Mental Health Committee in the Senate and a huge supporter and a huge ally inside. So we're so pleased to have her sponsor this event. We have to have a sponsor to have this space, but we're very, very fortunate to have such an ally in the Senate. Senator Brooke.
Thank you. I think I missed it, but is Rochester in the house? Come on, Rochester. We may be small, but we sure are mighty. It's always an honor to be here with all of you. I told you that since the day I became the committee chair for the Senate Mental Health Committee, which by the way did not exist before January 2021. When I came into office, it was a joint committee, and we said we need a mental health committee because this will be the crisis after the crisis for COVID. We even have a Surgeon General who says the crisis of our time is youth mental health. Now, we hear those things, we see headlines, we see press conferences, but y'all know that the real crisis is happening every single day with our families, is it not? How many people have had to wait to get the care that they need for their children or their loved ones? How many people have struggled to find someone that they thought connected with them, that had cultural competency and linguistic competency that they could feel comfortable with? How many of us struggle to find someone like that when we're looking for services, for mental health services? And how many of you have felt for so many years that people have not been listening to you in Albany? You can cheer for that, because we're listening now. For so many years, I know that you have come here, you have shared your stories, you have made your asks, you have explained why this is so important. And now, you see all these legislators up here, you see all of these supporters up here, you see how we've taken over the entire well in this building? That's because of you all. That's because your movement is getting stronger every day, and you have allies like all of us up here who not only understand, but we are also living this with our families. This is what happens when you have parents as your legislators, right? We understand what it is you're going through. So all of these signs are outlining all the things that we've been fighting for all of you. We know that we need a better workforce so that you all can actually get the services you need. We know we need to do a better job of supporting youth. This year, we got $5 million in the One House budget for a free telemental health services, 5 free appointments for any young person in New York State. Any single young person, no questions asked, to make sure that we can help young people fill that gap when they're sitting on a wait list. And there are so many other things that need to be covered, and I know that some of my colleagues will. But my favorite phrase that I learned when I first started this work together, nothing about us, nothing about us, nothing about us. Exactly. Thank you all so much, and you have my unwavering support.
Getting called into conference, so we need to make sure to get them up to the microphone first. And we also have other speakers, but we want to make sure to show them that we value their time and their presence here. I think that the next person up is it
Hello, Assemblywoman Sarah Clark here from the great Rochester area as well. So happy to always follow my co-conspirator in what we have now self-proclaimed as the Mom Squad here in the Capitol. But Summer and I work so well together because we are moms and we share a lot of the same vision and priorities for our New York families and what we know they need. I will just say a couple quick things because I know we got a whole long line of folks who are going to talk about all the things. Oh, look, more Mom Squad in the house. Thank you, JGR. So really, there's a couple things that we know. I'm the mom of 3 teenagers. I've been through the ups and downs. I've been calling the crisis line. I've been doing all the things that we know we need to help our children when we know that they're facing challenges or struggling with certain things. We know COVID made it worse. But we know when we center families and children and we center their needs, we get better outcomes. It doesn't come without a strong workforce, a workforce that is paid properly for the hard work they're doing to ensure our children are getting what they need. But the things we need to really do is understand that we cannot criminalize children for being children. It is the #1 thing that we need to understand and focus. And we cannot punish parents who are asking for help. This is real. We don't punish you when you say, I need help, I need something, my child needs something, please help me. And instead of saying, no, which is, or there's nothing we can do, or we don't know where to go, we help you, we don't know how to do it, not only do we often hear no, but we also hear, now we're going to, investigate you, or we're going to hold you in harm for not doing what you need to do when you were told there was nothing that could be done anyway. So we need to fix it. We need a strong mental health workforce for our children. We need our children to have access to mental health services the moment they need it. We need to look at suspension rates, not just in our K through 12 schools, but in our child care settings. No 3-year-old is doing something out of evil or out of some malice. This is a 3-year-old we're talking about, and we are seeing suspension rates mostly with children with special needs going through the roof in our child care settings. But we need to give our child care providers the mental health support that they need as well to ensure those children are getting what they need. Children need things. Let's make sure we're centering their needs and their voices. Let's make sure we're actually offering a helping hand to our parents. Let's get mental health services for all our youth. Let's ask you, let's not say no to you, let's say, what do you need? What can we do to help? We are here to help. We are a government service that are trying to make every family succeed and every child thrive. I am glad to add my voice to everyone here. Families belong together, healthy minds, healthy kids, families first. It is time to rechange how we are doing everything. and ensure every family is just knocking it out of the park in our state of New York. We need to fix things. The Mom Squad's on it, as is every legislature here who cares about New York families, and I'm just happy to be part of it. I will introduce the fearless colleague of mine, Assemblywoman Taylor Darling.
Hi, everyone. I heard Long Island was in the house. I'm Assemblymember Taylor Darling, and I proudly represent New York State's 18th Assembly District, which includes Hempstead, Uniondale, Freeport, Roosevelt, West Hempstead, Lakeview, and 9 houses in Garden City. And I am absolutely tired of the disparity between communities of services and what's available to us, where the sense of urgency is, how we respond to issues that our children are expressing, and we absolutely cannot stand here and say that these things are not systemic and intentional. All communities are having a mental health crisis right now, but we are handling those crises different based on which community you live in. That's right. We have children who, when they show up and they're in need, if they're in a certain community, the answer to their cries for help is suspension. We have other communities where when their children show up with needs and they express those needs, they are met with resources, not wait lists, not hope, not go home, not this is your parents' problem. We are all suffering. And I'm going to say it the way I always say it. We can fix this problem now, or we can fall apart attempting to fix it later. Let's make sure our kids have a great New York to live in. We are here to fight and we'll continue to champion. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, everybody. I'm Assemblywoman Aileen Gunther. I'm a registered nurse, and I represent both Sullivan and Orange County. Oh, we have Orange County. Are you in Orange County? Sullivan County. We're a low-income area, and we need increased funding in all areas, and especially this one. So good afternoon. As Chair of Mental Health Committee, the behavioral and mental health needs of children in my district and throughout the state are my top priority. When we talk about mental health services, we often focus on the needs and challenges that adults face. But as you know, it's important to remember that children can and do struggle with mental illness. When we commit to caring for children's mental health, it benefits the entire community. I support those of you asking for additional money allocated for children's behavioral health, including home and community-based services, children and family treatment and support services, and Article 31 and 32.822 clinic services. Not only do we have to ensure that services are available, we have to ensure that the people who provide these services are properly compensated. The individuals who dedicate their lives to helping people living with mental illness deserve more than minimum wage. They deserve a living wage. I'm dedicated to working with you to strengthen our support. I am going to fight for 3.2%. However, I don't even think that's enough for the work you do. I want every assembly person, every senator to walk in your shoes. Just one day. Just one day. And I know that 3.2% is not enough. These are mostly women, many women of color, and you know what? The time is now to compensate people for the work they do. We don't sit behind desks. We take care of people's emotional problems, their physical problems. We're there with them 24 hours a day. You know what? When somebody doesn't show up, we stay because we care. And now we want the New York State Assembly, the Senate, and the governor to care as much as you do. Give us money.
We're gonna miss her. Is Westchester County in the house? All right. I'm Assemblymember Chris Burdick. I represent the 93rd Assembly District in Westchester County. And Aileen could not have said it better. We have such a crisis in the workforce, whether it be in this, whether it be in home care, right across the board. And these are people who dedicate their lives. Minimum wage for this is an outrage. Nothing short of an outrage. We have to pay people for the work that they're doing so that they too can support their families. I can't tell you how many home care workers in this field, in fields across the board, they're having to have 2 jobs, even 3 jobs, to put food on the table. That is totally unacceptable. And we're going to change that. We're going to do it in this budget. We also have to have in this budget the money that's needed for the community-based organizations, because those are the ones that are closest to the people. The community-based organizations are the ones that can get it done most effectively. And I want to say one last word, and that is that none of this can happen without you and the advocacy. When are we going to get it done? We're going to get it done now. Thank you.
So we heard Assemblymember Gunther talk about walking a mile in our shoes, and so no one better to talk about that than Assemblyman Santa Barbara, who is a parent and does walk in our shoes.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to thank all of you for coming out. I know it's not easy to get up to the Capitol and you spend your day here, but it's important that we come together. So I want to thank Families in New York for bringing us together for Family Empowerment Day. I have a daughter who's in college. I also have a son who's 22. My son was born with autism, so I've experienced a lot of what we're talking about here today. I know the services he has needed to reach his goals in life, and I know the work that people do. When I'm not there, there are people there for him. And what Aileen said, what Chris said, what my colleague said is absolutely right. 3.2% is just not enough. Not enough. These people dedicate their lives to supporting individuals, to taking care of people, of family members. And that is worth way more than they have been getting paid. And we need to do better in this budget. I want to just talk about the mental health services. There is a tremendous need in my community. I represent the Capital District, Schenectady, City of Amsterdam. There's a tremendous need for youth mental health services. We need to respond to that. It's a growing need. Community-based services. There is not enough in my community. I know there's not enough in New York State. We need to do better in this budget. The peer-to-peer programs are so important. Yeah, I want to thank Aileen Gunther, who's the chair of mental health. I've served on that committee for every year I've been in the Assembly. We've passed a lot of good legislation. We've advocated for funding. And this year we must deliver. The need is growing and growing. We must respond to that. So I'm here to support all of you. Let's hear it for our families. And let's hear it for our youth, the future of the state, the future of our country.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Assemblymember Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. I represent Queens. Is Queens in the house at all? Queens get the money. Listen, we are facing a triple crisis in this country. In 2021, the U.S. Surgeon General declared a mental health crisis amongst our young people. We are also facing wait lists. We're facing wait lists for the families that need the support to address that mental health crisis. And the workers who are doing the beloved work to serve our young people in crisis are not getting paid enough. But you know what? We have the solutions right here. The solutions are right here in this room. It is you all. It is you all that are on the front lines doing this work, representing families, advocating for your community, advocating for your families, because our New York children deserve better. that's here today. I believe we need to keep families together. We need to pay the workforce. We need to invest in mental health services. We need to invest in peer work. I see you there. And we need to make sure that we're not putting our young people in suspension. We need to pass the solutions, not suspension bill now. So thank you so much for being here. Make sure you yell loud and have your voices heard, so not just the legislator can hear you, but also the governor, because we need her on our side as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, Councilwoman. Do we have any other legislators right now? We've got several other people who have confirmed, but they're coming and going, so we're going to just let the program go on. We've got lots of great speakers, and then we will, as other legislators join us, we will give them the microphone. I just want to say thank you again to those legislators who came already. This is a real opportunity for them to see your faces. So thank you for being here to listen to us, to see us, and we feel more heard when you come. I want to introduce, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Paige Pierce. I'm the CEO of Families Together, and these are the we've been for decades now advocating for all of these different priorities, some of which, I said to someone earlier who said, boy, you guys have it figured out. And I said, this is our 25th time of doing this event. And it's also, it's not our first rodeo when it comes to the policies that we are advocating for. And so I want to introduce our Director of Public Policy, Brad Hansen, to come and talk about
How are we doing, families? I promised you we were going to do some chants today, weren't we? So let's start with families. Families together. Families together. Youth. Power. Youth. Power. Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you to everyone for coming. Some of you got on buses at 5 a.m. in the morning. They said a Western bus couldn't happen. It's too far. 5 a.m. How many people? A full bus. Come on. Thank you all for being here. I want to say, there's a lot of people that want to speak, and I tend to like to hear myself talk, so I'm going to try to keep it short. But there's a few things you need to know. We are advocating for community-based mental health services. We are talking about a $195 million investment my colleague here, Alex Buffin's going to talk about in community-based services. You heard Eileen Gunther talk about it. CFTSS, that's youth peer support, that's family peer support. That's your billing line. We need that money up. This funding is unsustainable, and it's resulting in workforce. We need a workforce, not wait lists. It's resulting in workforce, not wait lists. Workforce, not wait lists. We're also talking about community. We're talking about economic supports for families. We have to start meeting the basic needs. How are we going to talk about, hey, how's your mental health day? I don't know. I'm renting security. I don't know if I'm going to have a home tomorrow. I don't know if my kid's going to eat. These are the kind of questions that families are answering every day. There's an affordability crisis happening in our community. Part of it's monetary inflation. A lot of it is just greed, raising prices. And so the state, we're asking you to help families pay, make ends meet. We're talking for investments in things like universal child care. We're talking about things like parents, new parents, getting the support they need through guaranteed basic income programs. We're talking about some more stuff that I forgot. We're talking about working families, tax credits, folks. We're talking about more money in people's pockets. And one more thing, we're talking about universal school meals, breakfast, lunch, that can save families $175 a month. These are the kind of things that we have to start the conversation with. Have you ate today? Are you housing secure? Do you have child care? Then we can start talking about mental health services. And that's a key part of our agenda. You have to invest in families. We talk about things like social determinants of health. That can't just be something you're mindful of. That's something we have to start changing. We have to start changing the conditions in which families are raising their children. That's what today's about. That's what this policy agenda is about. So thank you all for being here. Workforce, not wait lists. Thank you. Next up, I'm going to call Alice Buffkin to talk a little bit more about our community-based mental health initiatives.
Thank you, Brad, my favorite chanter around. My name is Alice Buffkin. I'm with Citizens Committee for Children. We also help coordinate the Healthy Minds, Healthy Kids campaign, along with Families Together, and so many other amazing organizations. This is a group of young people, parents, folks from all over the state fighting because our children need the behavioral health supports they're not getting right now. What we heard today in the meetings that we're having, what we're going to hear up now, it's not right. It's not right that children can't get the services they need. It's not right that they're going to emergency rooms and hospitals because they aren't being served. It's not right that parents are sending their kids to other states to get the care they need. This isn't how our state should be working. We have families on wait lists for a month, for 6 months, for over a year to get the care they need. That's not right. Their kids are churning in and out of ERs and hospitals because what happens when you don't have services in the community? You end up having a greater and more complex need for care. We need a continuum in our state. We also know that we are seeing proposals out there for investments in $1 million here, $2 million here. That's important services. We value that. But if you're not in those communities, are you getting those services? Right. If you don't have a workforce to provide those services, what do? What I want to know is where is the systematic investment in our children's behavioral health? How are we working to uplift the entire state so every child in every corner of the state can get the care that they need? That's right. We came here with solutions. Brad mentioned this. We came saying we have a way to do that. We can invest in our community-based organizations, in our outpatient services. $195 million is what's needed to get thousands more providers out there, to serve tens of thousands more children. This is the funding that we are coming and saying we urgently need, and we need our elected leaders to listen. I want to thank our leaders, though, because if you don't know, they have some important provisions in the budget that say, our commercial insurers, if any of you have commercial insurance, have you experienced being covered and then calling a provider, and then another provider, and then another provider, and another provider, and say, I don't take your insurance because it doesn't pay well enough because the rates are too low. And they get away with this. They are a billions of dollar industry. Well, we finally have agreement among our elected leaders to say, we can't let that happen anymore. They are trying to make the commercial plans pay at least as much as Medicaid, which is a crucial step in the right direction. So we want to thank them for that. We want to push that through to the end. Exactly. But let's also focus on the Medicaid side. We need that $195 million to get kids into care, to keep them from going out of state. We need to make behavioral health a priority for legislators. I know it is for everyone in this room. So I just want to say we're going to hear from some incredible speakers who are going to talk about their own experience. These are hard things to talk about. We know the state is able to find money when they think it's a priority. Let's make this a priority for them. All right, thank you everyone so much.
Healthy Mind!
Healthy kids!
Healthy Mind!
Healthy kids!
Thank you so much, Alice. I'm now going to call up a trusted friend. We're going to switch gears just briefly to talk about universal child care from the Empire State Child Care Campaign and Schuyler Center, Dee Dee Hill.
Good afternoon. So I'm Dee Dee Hill, as Brad just told you, and I am one of the founders of the Empire State Campaign for Child Care. We are a statewide campaign for universal child care. So I have a question for you. How many of you have struggled to afford child care? Okay, let's hear it. How many of you? Too many. And let me tell you, you are not alone. It costs, on average, $40,000 a year to have 2 children in child care right now. And in some communities, it is much, much higher. How many of you have struggled, let's say you can afford it, how many of you have struggled to find a child care provider in your community who can care for your child during the hours that you need care? How many of you have struggled? Too many, right? So, the good news, and there is some good news, we have so many lawmakers, many of whom were just here with us, who are standing with us and are calling for New York State to lead the nation and implement universal child care. So thank you. And other good news is the state has made some really significant investments in expanding access to child care assistance. So for lower income there is assistance available. Hundreds of thousands of children are newly eligible for that assistance. So that's great. Let's clap for that, right? Great. But here is the problem, and you know, this is going to sound really familiar to you. The problem is we have not invested in the child care workforce. And what this means, it's awful and disrespectful to that workforce. And hey, let's pause for a second because we're going to see a through line here. Who makes up that workforce? They are women, almost all women. They are predominantly women of color. And what do we pay them? Most of them are paid poverty wages. That is wrong. They are caring for our babies. They are our children's first teacher. I remember, they were my first teacher. My child care providers taught me how to parent. They taught me how to get my kid to take a nap, right? We all adore our child care providers if we're able to find one and if we're able to afford it. And they deserve their weight in gold, right? Am I right? Yes. Okay. So here's what we need to do this year. This year, New York State needs to invest in a permanent child care workforce fund. Okay? Permanent. We also need $1.2 billion so that we can give this workforce a raise. And even with that amount of money, they will be making less than what the median salary is in New York State. Because right now, on average, they're making about $35,000 a year. Sit with that. These are the kids, these are the people who take care of our babies. They are among the most important people in our lives, right? We need to pay them better, and only in that way are we going to also address what is becoming a capacity crisis in New York State. So yeah, you might be able to get child care assistance to help you pay the bill, but you can't find a child care spot because there are not folks who can stay in this profession. And not because they don't want to, and not because they don't love our babies, it's because they can't afford to stay in this profession. Okay, so what do we need? What do we need this year in this budget? And I will tell you this, let me tell you one other thing. Right now, what's in the governor's budget is actually a cut to the workforce. It is a small one-time bonus that is less than what they received last year. That is not right. Luckily, our Assembly and Senate champions would boost that bonus up a little bit, and that we welcome that, and we so appreciate them championing this issue and being a steadfast friend of childcare. But we need that investment to be permanent, because how can our childcare providers hire new staff if they don't know what's coming next year? Permanent Workforce Fund, $1.2 billion. Thank you. All right.
Give it up for Dee Hale. Workforce, behind the workforce. Thank you so much, Dee, for sharing that insightful information. We got our marching orders. I now want some parent voice up here. I'm going to invite Faith Beatty to come up here. Faith, are you here? Faith is a parent from Rochester. She's been holding it down as part of the Healthy Minds, Healthy Kids Caregiver and Youth Council. She's a leader for her own family, but for families across the state. And so I want to have her come up and tell some of her personal story.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Faith Beatty. I'm a council member with Healthy Minds, Healthy Kids, and I am also a mother with a child with mental health needs. I have my coat, my scarf that has many colors over it in there, and it was given to me by a friend. It's called a giving scarf. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? What's $195 million when it comes to our children? If you don't know what it's like to experience trauma, imagine this. Children that have major behavioral and mental issues or challenges. The thoughts that many of them think, why am I here? Do I even belong in this world? Suicide is my best option. Or something simple as, nobody likes me. can send the child spiraling. Now imagine the parent that feels hopeless and out of options. So again, I ask you, what is $195 million when it comes to our children and families? Imagine the single mother struggling with more than one child. She's desperate for help, but can't get any because wait lists are so long, because no one is being hired, because the pay isn't high enough. That must change, and it needs to change now. That's right! Listen, just listen though. It's a two-way street, and we must find a way for our children and families to get the services that they need. We must act now. We always say that it takes a village, right? And yes, it does. So why not be the village that speaks up and fight for our children? Why not be the village that says enough is enough and we will invest in quality mental health care for our children? So for the last time, I ask you, what is $195 million when it comes to quality mental health for our youth and families? It's only a dent. It's only a start. It doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. Let's do the right thing. While concentrating on everything else in New York, let's give our children what they need and deserve to survive. I am a mother of a child with needs. It isn't easy, but I tell you this, the battle is not over. She's just one of many children that face day-to-day simple concerns. Think about the ones that are tormented by behavior that they truly want to get under control. So I tell you that today, it's time to stop wasting time. Help needs to be on the way. Workforce, not waitlist. $195 million is not a lot. Guess what? All that is a win-win for everybody. That's right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, as any of you who have been here before know that in addition to the family voice, we consider the youth voice to be equally important. And we have youth staff and youth members who are part of Youth Power. And so I want to introduce the Director of Youth Power, Justice.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that beautiful welcome. I'm just here to say that young people are now brighter than ever, smarter than ever. They are activists, they are speakers, they are mobilizers, they are movers, they are doers. They can, they will, they want to. Youth have power in their voices, they have power in their speech, in the way that they walk, in the way that they talk. So I want us to all acknowledge the young people in the room. Can we stand? Do the young people want to stand? No?
Thank y'all. Y'all do amazing work. And on that note, I'm going to introduce Kristen Rivera.
Hello, everybody. Might be better if I just hold it. I thought a minute about what I wanted to say today. I'm usually a bubbly person, but this topic is not bubbly. Poverty. I am a product of poverty. I am a product of public assistance. I am a product of Medicaid, SNAP, TANF, free school lunches and breakfast. I don't know if I would be standing here talking to you today without this assistance from advocates that came before me. Please keep this in mind. We are not just advocating for the people in this room today. However, I want to give y'all a shout out because you made it here, and that's the biggest area. So please, give it up. We are here today to advocate for the generations to come. We know that the money and the bills take forever to meet our needs and meet our requirements that we advocate for. We are not here for today's children. We are here for the grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the strangers that we don't even know exist yet. Please keep advocating for money to be dedicated to young people, to families, to the supports that get us out of poverty. Okay? And please also keep in mind, we are breaking the poverty mindset. We are showing the world, I am showing the world, with these services does not mean we are stuck, does not mean we are not intelligent, does not mean we don't know what we're talking about when we come here with our lived experience, telling these people, hey, listen. So again, please keep advocating for youth, please keep advocating for public services, and please listen to each other and to the young people and to the parents who firsthand experience what we're experiencing here. Thank you all for being here and thank you for listening.
Hands together for Christy Rivera. Yes. Support families in poverty, not punish them, right? All right, now, you guys might have heard about this. We advocated for something called Raise the Age at Families Together. We pushed for youth justice in New York State. We wanted to make sure that no 16 and 17-year-old would ever find themselves inside of a jail, an adult jail or prison ever again in New York State. We achieved that. Here to talk about what's next in the youth justice agenda in New York State is my friend Jose Perez from the Children's Defense Fund. Give a hand for Jose Perez. Start playing some music. Raise the age! Raise the age! Raise the age! Raise the age!
Thank you everybody. This is wonderful. I love to see your faces, love to see the support. Give a round of applause to everyone who's here. Everybody that's behind me, they got my back, so I'm feeling good right now. So my name is Jose Perez. I come to this work with my own lived experience. I'm a survivor of the child welfare system. I was in the child welfare system from the ages of 3 to 16. When I was 16, I was incarcerated. I was sentenced to adult prison. And I went there and I did 20 years. I did 20 years in prison and I survived it. And I've been coming home and I came upon this world right now and I'm here to fight for all my young people who are in this world who feel lost and afraid and feel like nobody supports them. Because we are here. I also manage a project called Youth in Power, Transforming Care, in which we are giving $1,000 to former foster care youth transitioning out of care. We're giving them $1,000 a year for a pilot program to try to make sure that these guaranteed incomes become universal. That we're about to be on our, well, we're on our 10 payments, but we're about to be on our 12 payments. And after that, they're not going to get any more of the support from the pilot. So we are going to be advocating, we're going to be fighting for them, right? And when we talk about suspensions, right, that's how I started. They started suspending me. They started taking me away from my mother. They did a whole bunch of investigation on my mother instead of cultivation. They stripped her of all her rights, right? So what I want to do is I want to leave you with a poem. I want to leave you with a poem to show the significance of why you should be listening to our voices. And I don't know why this is not showing up now at this moment. It's the Wi-Fi or something.
Raise the age! Raise the age!
Here go, raise the age!
Raise the age! Raise the age!
That's right. Hear me out. Hear me out. I am yelling. I've lived in this world forever. In a world fluent in chains, dragging against the off asphalt. Razor wires wiggle out of the cracks of my mind, wrapping its metal scales around the lion statues, slithering then stopping as if draped on the steps of my dreams. As I approach, you hear the metal detector scream, and the yelling are muffled by walkie-talkies, and metal clinging against black fatigues and pointed fingers. Pointed fingers that squeeze instead of guide, and comply instead of try, so you will never fly. Erasers and chalk are secondary objects at my school. Hear me out. I am yelling. I am yelling next to the metal detector screaming. She got lipstick encased in steel. She needs a lesson, a carceral curriculum to let her know her body does not belong to her own self. And his body, especially those book bags, can be taken away, prepping them for a steel cage and escorted away from lit class, where we can have been teaching beautiful shit like, I know why the cage bird sings, cliches, but what do they know that? Did you know that Maya's song was born out of silence? I imagined those poems brewing for 5 years. She said nothing. I was a caged bird, needed to be heard. Your dreams need to be heard. No, don't be silent sometimes. Sometimes you speak. You speak the fuck up. Do you know the Angelo song that she was silent for 5 years, muted after violence against her? Did you know you are power? Tilling the soil of a mind, sowing seeds of fruit for words, songs and audacity for courage. You rendered your voice soundless and pure, so that one day you can render your voice massive for cures. These systems tried to pry my soul open, yet where I experienced pain, I harvested love and lyrical lips, sealed in silence for 20 years. So now I roar, I scream, I yell, I write, I sing. I essentially just live in truth. And you need to speak for us. Us, people, little minds, combined with the clay of your hands. If only they were molded with us, with me, with youth in mind.
Give it up for Jose, please. I want to first say, and I don't want to follow this up with boring stuff, I have to. We're fighting for things that lend themselves exactly to what Jose is talking about, that experience. We're talking about things like rights to remain silent, so that no 16 or 17-year-old could become under arrest and waive their rights to an eternity, because that right to remain silent is fundamental to not becoming a statistic, right? To not becoming that story. And honestly, if everyone ended up like Jose, that would be a good thing. But the other thing we want to talk about is the Youth Justice and Opportunities Act. We want to make sure that there's record ceiling for emerging adults, so that if they do become involved in the system, they do become sentenced, that it is not a permanent record. It is not a scarlet letter on their chest for the rest of their life when they need things like education and jobs and housing. And so the Youth Justice and Opportunities Act, we're advocating for that. And then one last thing is the Youth Justice Innovation Fund. The Youth Justice Innovation Fund would get services into the communities that are in touch with these young people, who know them, who recognize them and claim them. Those are the ones that need Raise the Age funding, not just Albany County, not just county probation. They don't know, but the community knows, and so we have to fund those grassroots organizations. And that's what the Youth Justice and Innovation Fund is all about, and it's in both the Senate and the Assembly houses. And so we're going to advocate for that too, for young Jose's out there. I'm now going to cue up Damon Meeks, Assembly Member Damon Meeks.
Good afternoon. I am Assemblyman Damon Meeks, representing the 137th Assembly District. That's out of Rochester, New York. All right, so I just wanted to say to the youth in the audience, your voice matters. Your presence matters. One of the things that I have been mindful to do, and you may want to take notes of this, as the Assemblyman representing the 137th District, most of you have heard of town hall meetings in your district before, right? right? Show of hands, hand clap, town hall meetings. All right. Now, I also need that hand shown for those who have heard of youth forums held by their representatives. A lot less hands. So I say that to say, youth, your voices matter. And if this isn't happening in your district, you need to call for it to happen. We have been intentional in hosting youth forums, talking about some of the challenges, because we often hear what the media has to say, we often hear what adults have to say, but I employ us as adults not to be guilty of practices where historically, those of us from BIPOC communities, we have white power brokers that told us what was best for us without our input. And I want to be mindful that we also take time to hear from our youth. We may know or may think that we know what's best for them, but it helps to have their input as it relates to policies and things that we implement to move them forward. Thank you. So with that being said, I implore you all to call on your representatives to host these type of events. The youth in the audience, you can all actually call. You don't have to be a voter or of age to vote to call for your representatives to move on a matter. So reach out to your representatives, tell them you want to host youth town hall forums, and I'll tell you what came out of ours. Our youth spoke to what they believe the problems were in our community, what some of the challenges were in our school systems, and our health systems, and on the streets of Rochester. But guess what else they came up with? A number of solutions for the problems. So our youth know what they're challenged with, and they can also give us the solutions, but we have a responsibility to make sure we connect them to the resources. Someone mentioned earlier $195 million. State government, that's not a lot of money. That's a drop in the bucket. And with that being said, I am the sponsor of Bill A3115, which calls for a progressive income tax, calling on the top tier New Yorkers, the ultra rich, to pay their fair share. That's how we pay for these type of programs. So I just want you to know that these things come full circle, the challenges at hand, and how we pay for them. And please put pressure on your representatives to support these type of efforts, as well as the funding to call on the ultra rich to pay their fair share, that we can all thrive as New Yorkers. Thank you all, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Really, he's saying exactly what we've been saying for years, right? So listen to the stakeholders, listen to youth, and listen to families. We do know what is needed to make it work. And also, I really appreciate the sentiment that you talked about, that we brought you solutions, that young people and family members brought you not just the problems, but the solutions. And I also want to say thank you for bringing up the taxes, because if you bring up the billionaire tax, you have the money. That's a solution. So thank you very much for that. So our next speaker is Christina Hauptman, who is a family advocate and on the Healthy Minds, Healthy Kids Family Council, Family and Caregiver Council.
Wow. I don't know that I can talk to you guys, but Jose, I guess, hit me a little bit hard. My name is Christina. I am a family care advocate from Long Island. I'm also the parent of a child sitting on wait lists. So basically, I work for a wait list. Issue is a big deal, as we know. I am part of the Healthy Minds, Healthy Kids campaign as well. And that $195 million, I'm going to tell you why it's needed. Okay, so we're talking about children's home community-based services, and I just want to share a little bit about my son's story, because my son would have been here today, but he's home, and he's in a little bit of a depression. Some of you have heard his story, but it's not about him, it's about all the Codys out there. So, Cody is my son is a biracial 17-year-old from Suffolk County, and his story starts at a very young age. At 3 years old, my son had his first mental health diagnosis and was placed on wait list at 3 years old because nobody would service a 3-year-old child. At 4 years old, my son went into his first inpatient psychiatric hospitalization. Now, we know no 4-year-old should be in a psychiatric hospitalization, but he was, because there was no home and community-based services. There was wait lists. My son would go on, between the ages of 7 and 9, he would be handcuffed and put in a police car 12 times before 9 years old. No child should ever have to go through that. This is while he sat on wait lists. At 9 years old, he went to a community residence he had to go into that community residence because he had a lack of home and community-based services to keep him in the home where he belonged. From the community residence, he had to go to a residential treatment center where he gained significant progress and did really well. After 2 years in a residential treatment center, he was able to come home. He was 12 years old. At 12 years old, he was discharged home to home and community-based services. Guess what? There was no home and community-based services. He sat on a wait list. I came up here January 2019, and I spoke that my son was on a wait list for 5 months. That was in 2019, pre-COVID. 5 years later, we're on a wait list. I provide services. I work under CFTSS and HCBS. I have connections. My son has no services. While on wait list for services, I woke up one morning in October of 2020 to a suicide note from my son, from his first attempt. My son had his first suicide attempt while he was on a wait list for services. I know if my son was not on a wait list, he would not have had that attempt. No parent should have to wake up to a note filled with writing about how he does not know how to cope and he does not have the ability to have services that he needs to help him learn. He still sat on wait lists. He had 2 more suicide attempts since. If he had his services that were deemed medically necessary, he would not have had those attempts. He has had 20 inpatient psychiatric hospitalizations during this time. The reason he had so many inpatient hospitalizations each time, we were told he can't be discharged because there's no home and community-based services for him. He would be on a wait list. While my son sits in the hospital, he's taking a bed from somebody else that he so desperately needs that bed. So desperately. But he so desperately needs his services at home. He should not be on a wait list. My son started speaking. Some of you have heard his story. He recently was up here a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke. He told his story. He was to be here today. He cannot get out of bed due to his depression. And guess what? 5 years later, he's still on a wait list for services. So we need our state leaders to support real change for our children and families. We need support. We need that $195 million to reform the rates for our children's behavioral health services and for access to our children's family treatment support services and our home and community-based services. Because we need a workforce, not a wait list. And that's right.
A round of applause for Christina Hoffman. The champion for families, champion for families, and young people for cost here today. She's talking so much about the system and about courage, right? Because it takes courage to stand up on the stage. It takes courage to tell your story over and over and over again. And she exhibits that. Thank you, Christina. You're the best of us. I'm now going to cue up Monique, Assemblywoman Monique Chandler-Waterman.
I stand here with you as a mother of 4 beautiful children who had to go through COVID, who have to go through the daily traumas of just social anxiety and just being in this world, having to navigate gun violence and the trauma of that in our community. Shout out to my constituent Sharon Rose, who's doing the work on the ground as well. And I also started a Assembly District 58 mental health task force since I got in office, because I understand the needs of the community goes well beyond just us thinking it goes one way. It's a multi-layered issue that requires a multifaceted approach. We need people with lived experience and lived expertise. We need the groups on the ground that's doing the great work that I mentioned today, but we also need to make sure we have all these perspectives to go along with the legislation and budget needs when I'm here in Albany. So that team meets all the time. What we do understand on the ground, we need to make sure we have peer advocates. And in this space, youth peer advocates. Those who are closer to the issue know what the solutions are. Oh, hi, Mr. Lane. I see you there as well. So we have a lot of people that came from the district. We need to make sure that this is so intricate when it comes to youth. Mental health on itself, we need a lot of support. When it comes to youth, there needs to be more funding, expanded services. We need to make sure that there is staff. The staff-to-child ratio is safe. We need to make sure that we are culturally responsive and we're at the level where they can meet their needs and understanding them. We need to also make sure in our public school system, we need a mental health clinic in every single school. Those are the things that we are fighting for. And when you look at a child, right, you have to work with the whole entire family holistically. You can't say, let me just do this with the child, and mom and dad and auntie, uncle, and grandma don't get services too. This is a holistic issue where everybody that's impacted in the community and that child's life, the teacher also needs support. So we can't just look at it as one way. It's deep layered, deep rooted, and I'm here advocating for that and to make sure that we have that support and services. So I know my time is limited up here, but I just want to lend my voice to you. I stand with you, and I want to make sure that we have all the support that's needed to make sure our future is intact. And if we don't invest into our youth today, we are doomed for tomorrow. So I'm here with you, standing with you. Thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your movement. New York State Assembly member, Maureen Chamber Waterman. Thank you for listening.
A parent has infiltrated the legislature. Thank you so much, Assemblywoman. I'm now going to call up Assemblywoman Mary Jane Shimsky.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Mary Jane Shimsky from the 92nd Assembly District, which includes parts of Yonkers, Greenberg, and all of Mount Pleasant. Our children have taken so many hits because of COVID, but we know that the mental health issues were really growing even before the first COVID cases. And one of the most frustrating things about dealing with the mental health system is, and this is true of adults as well, getting acute care is much more possible than getting the follow-up care.
That's right.
I heard a report from one of my police officers who is just so frustrated because a man who has problems in the neighborhood he patrols ends up going back into hospitalization. He's stabilized, he gets discharged, there's no one to help him when he's out, so he goes down the same rabbit hole and ends up there again. It's bad with adults, it's even worse with children. There just are not professionals. Yes, we need increased reimbursements to encourage people to enter the field. We also need more training to get more people in the field. And we need to get the right program to connect those professionals with the children who need them. And then when you're talking about children's mental health and well-being, everything is more difficult if you're not sure if you're going to have a home over your head because your parents are having trouble paying rent. It's more difficult if you're food insecure. It's more difficult if your school district has gotten rid of all the arts and music programs so you can't express yourself. When we say we need holistic solutions, we need a whole lot of them. But we are all committed up here. There are a couple great senators waiting down there to talk to you. We will work with you to move forward on this year and in future years to make sure things are in place to make sure our children and our families can thrive. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Senator Mayer, who is the chair of the Education Committee in the Senate. And I would just say for those of you who have watched our town halls, the one on education, Senator Mayer has been not only an for us inside, but a true ally. She listens to us, and that's why she's here today, to listen some more. Senator.
Thank you very much, Paige. First, Christina, I just want to say that, you know, for all of us who are parents here, to hear that story is just sort of the most painful thing you could imagine going through as a parent. And I, as a mother and a grandmother, my heart is breaking for you and for all others who are struggling with our system. But I'm here to say I'm chair of the Senate Education Committee. I come from Westchester. I represent the city of Yonkers and a number of other places. But my real interest is in serving families and kids. That's our job here. Our job is to listen to you, not to listen to us. To listen to you, to hear you, to respond to you, to do our best by you, and to make sure that particularly that every kid in this state gets the best we can provide. If that kid is struggling, that's our job. If the kid is succeeding, that's our job. If the kid needs mental health, that's our job. Your job is to remind us of our job, and our job is to do the very best we can, with great honesty, telling what we can and can't do, but to listen, to respond with empathy and care as you do as families. So I'm here for that, because I care, and my colleagues care, and our job is to do the best we can for every kid in this state. I promise you we will do that. Thank you.
We have another senator come up and speak. Senator Harkin was the chair of the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Committee for many years in the Senate and was a real ally, listened to us, participated in our town halls, and I'd just like to introduce Senator Harkin.
Thank you so much, Paige. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to your building. I happen to work here, but you own this building. So thank you for being here and taking ownership of your government and advocating. It's your budget. It's not my budget. It's not the governor's budget. It's your budget. So thank you for being here and for advocating. You know, I know many of you. I had the good fortune to meet with some young people today. Many of you have heard my story. It is no different than many of the stories, but when I was a teenager, I was using drugs and drinking on a daily basis. You know, I had the good fortune to get sober in my late 20s, and it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I realized all those years I had been drinking and drugging to self-medicate depression and anxiety as an adolescent. And so that's why it's so important that for the young people today, we provide the resources that they need to address the trauma in their lives. Let's face it, it's traumatic being a young person today, and people coming thousands of miles on the path to get to this country. Who knows what horrors they've seen on the way? Other young people, sexual trauma. It's tough being young, and the trauma today are the substance abusers of tomorrow. And that's why we need to support you. That's why we need to support your programs in everything we do. And so thank you for being here and fighting. You heard from some great local representatives. I've worked closely with Senator Mayer and Assemblymember Shimsky. Believe them when they say they are fighting for you, because I know them, I know their heart, I know their soul, I know their work, and we are all fighting for you. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. It's always nice to have people who have that lived experience. You know, when we talk about nothing about us without us, that's the kind of, when you have people inside doing the policy making that have walked a mile in our shoes, have lived the lived experience that we talk about, is especially helpful because we know that they're going to carry our flag for us. So thank you very much. Next, we're going to have one of our very own, Simca Weinstein, is going to come up here and talk a little bit about DD and special ed.
Man, thank you. All right, Brooklyn in the house. All right. So when you have a child that is nonverbal, you need a dad with a big mouth. So where are my dads at? spectrum. People with disabilities represent the largest minority group in the world. I'd like to acknowledge that on March 9th, the tragic death of Ryan Gaynor, a 15-year-old autistic youth who was killed in California outside his home. I know the trauma of making those phone calls, and I also know that I have privilege when I make them. I want to say that we need more understanding of the intersectional needs of neurodivergence and mental health within our systems. Labels are for insurance companies. I want to say that we come together to tell our systems and our policymakers that have the power to say no, that it's time to start saying yes. Thank you.
Oh, I hate following that guy. I now want to cue up Assemblyman Khalil Anderson.
All right, let's see if we can get a loud round of applause for Queens. Where's Queens at? Now, I'll take that one after him because I want to hear my Queens folks. So, good afternoon, everyone. Come on, let's get some energy. Good afternoon. All right, I hope you guys fed these folks yet because they're sounding tired over here, but we'll keep it pushing. I am State Assembly Member Khalil Anderson, and I proudly represent the 31st Assembly District in Southeast Queens. Queens get the money. I'm really excited to be here today to advocate for family empowerment. We know that our families need wraparound supports and services in order to ensure that they're most successful. And so, as the youngest Black elected official in state history, I understand firsthand what it is to have investment and to not have investment. I understand what a school looks like that has full services for our students with disabilities and a school that does not. I understand schools that have parents and teachers that don't have the tools and resources that they need for those students to be the most successful. And today we're here for Family Empowerment Day so that we can invest in the family well-being, so that we can pour resources into those who give so much to us. And those of you, the parents, so give yourselves a round of applause, parents. And so one of my big initiatives this year that I'm proud to be championing with Senator Myrie is our universal after school. We believe, we can clap that up. We believe that every single New York student and child should have access to free after school, point blank, period. And the reason why we believe that is because we know that that working class mother that is making that dollar over might not be able to afford the $300 a month necessary to have their child in academic enrichment or after school programs. And we know that that working family that's making just $60,000 between two parents can't afford after school programs for their two children. These are the realities of working class students, family, and neighbors, and that's why I'm proud to have stopped by here today at Family Empowerment Day to make sure that we are here in the halls of Albany legislating to the needs of our people here and now. Not yesterday's struggles, but right now struggles so that we can continue to move the ball forward. So I thank you all for being here. Let's continue to fight to improve our families. Let's make sure that today is not the last day that we're here in Albany, but that we're here in Albany week after week after week until we get this done. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. And again, shout out for the fact that you're the youngest assembly member elected, right? Youth power. Our next generation is people like him. So thank you very much. So we're almost at the end. Before we introduce the person who's going to take the microphone next, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you. Thank you, thank you. thank you for taking the time to come here today, to have your voices heard, to have your faces seen, to know that there's work being done here in Albany that does impact you and that your voice matters. I also want to just say really quickly, I want to thank all the staff and families together in New York State. We have 42 staff people, and they are the ones that made today happen. Every one of you is so valuable, so appreciative. And a special thanks to Brad Hansen, our Director of Public Policy, our Public Policy Coordinator, and Cheryl Williams, who's our Public Policy Coordinator. That department is responsible for today. And beyond that, they're responsible for so much of the work that we do. All of the issues that you heard about today, our people are working on those every day. So we are here for you. We are learning every day from your voice, and we appreciate you. So it's my pleasure to introduce Marsha McWilson, who's going to close out today for us. Marsha. One quick announcement. If there's a Stacy Weedman in the house, can you see Lori Rivera at the registration desk when you get a chance? Marsha?
No, for me. Oh, praise the Lord.
I'm representing Western New York, Buffalo, Rochester, and of course the seventh wonder of the world, Niagara Falls. How many know that our families are very important? And once you have a family and your family is taken away from you, you feel the pain for others. I lost my son right in front of my house to gun violence from a semi-automatic weapon from a 19-year-old kid. And that has gotten me on this journey to talk to the world about our families and keeping our families alive and keeping our families safe. So I want to leave this with you. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrows. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you because we are family. Come on, stand up on your feet. Come on. I got all my sisters and me. Come on, put your hands together and tell them we are family. Come on, everybody. Everybody stand up and sing. Hey, come on. We are family. Let me hear you in this place. I got all my sisters and me. And my brother over here too. We are family.
you guys rest up, rest your feet, relax, talk amongst each other, and it's 30 minutes. We're going to meet up right around here, and we're going to start marching. So that's at 2 o'clock. So get your marching voices together, get your chants down, remember get your signs, and we're going to march outside to the buses. And there's free lunch. If anyone needs extra lunch, get there.
I know there were several of you who came in by bus before the end. If you haven't gotten the lunch yet, please help yourself. The lunch is right over here against the wall. Get ready to march.
You're watching your stuff?
I mean, we could walk around the museum if you want.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would too. Right.
See where he's at.
She's so nice. You know, the real Catholic like break from all of this.
I think they've had enough. I've had enough for the sex stuff.
It was definitely something.
We're going back to campus until everybody is sucked.
It was fun.
Alright, let's just...
I mean, I went to the days though.
Hi.
I enjoyed the speech.
So cool.
Like, what's that? Last one?
I've never done this before. Yeah, I'm excited to meet you.
Ron, you got all your stuff? Their stuff looks
It's so huge.
I'm stuck everywhere I go. But I don't want to stop, you know, if you
Can you get the picture? Come around.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Another one for good measure. You guys want to check it out? I got it. Scary moment. Yes. All right. 1, 2. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And another one. There you go.
I will want to hear it, so I know, like, sounds great.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Look at those ships. Right.
Melinda, I'm going to interrupt your lunch. Stacy Green. I said, I know that green hair. I said I had to come say hello because we don't see each other again until next year, right?
Yes. Thank you for coming to say hi, Stacy.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, that's what I said. We got to take it, see who you see.
How you like it? This your first time here or?
Second.
Second?
So it's my second year here, and I'm like, there doesn't seem to be as many people as last year.
Yep, that's what I said. So this is my second year.
Yeah. So last year was your first year. Not funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
I started working with Families Together last year. So I was telling the captain, the bus captain that had caught the bus up here. They had a bus leaving from out of Western New York, so I didn't have to drive. And they was like, we didn't know there was any representation in Syracuse, like, and so I was.
Yeah, because for us in Herkimer County, we had to drive to Amsterdam to get a ride. So we met a person in Amsterdam that brought us the rest of the way to Albany.
Oh, okay.
But last year, I met somebody in the Utica terminal, and that brought me down.
Oh, okay.
So, so I said we're going to make sure that next year we're getting all the, getting a little closer to where we meet up.
We need to stay in touch with one another.
Yeah. So like I said, once we're on another coaching calls, we'll.
Oh yeah, we'll exchange emails. Matter of fact, tomorrow. Tomorrow Wednesday. Yep.
Yeah, I've lost a few days. I've kind of, I said, and some of the other ones, like you can see them, but you're like, I don't know is that the person, is that the one? And, you know what I mean? But it was nice to physically meet you.
Absolutely,
So
same
we will
here.
talk soon.
Yes, we will. You had chips? I would have got me some. Beautiful poem. Thank you. You're welcome. Powerful. It's going some on the bus. Well, I'm glad I did was on there. Yeah, I'm glad it did. I looked up, I said, what was that? Yeah, we're going to be right off the throughway. I'm like, did you go back? But y'all not supposed to do anything. You gotta get back on. You gotta go past you. I said, when you get past you, you gotta switch over. We have to all be here. But it was vacant. It's offline. You probably gotta take it out and start it all over again. Like do the pay transaction.
I know, but I see that you're in your internet.
Oh, you don't got to ship on it. No problem not checking it because so many people are in there. They got a little store. Listen, what are you doing? You called me yesterday.
It was to ask you a question about a June 21st, 2023 crowd.